Welcome to a review of the Manitoba Child Care Association's Best Choices Ethical Journey, Part 2. Hi, I'm Michelle Grant, a member of the Ethics Committee and an Ethics Guide. This short presentation will not replace participating in the four-part Ethics Series workshops. It is meant to give you an opportunity to review what was discussed in Part 2 before moving on to Part 3. If you haven't joined your colleagues in exploring ethics as part of your ongoing professional development, this will provide some insight into what the ethics workshops are all about. You'll remember from part 1, we talked about beliefs, values, and ethics, what a belief system is, and the contextual factors that influence who you are. If anything is unclear, please review part 1 before continuing. Our goals for Part 2 were to help you recognize what an ethical dilemma is. We explored what a professional code of ethics is and why they exist, and which sectors in the workforce have their own code of ethics that they follow. And we introduced you to the 8 principles of the MCCA Code of Ethics, and you had the opportunity to investigate and uncover how the code guides your daily practice when working with children, families, and colleagues. So what is an ethical dilemma? We describe it as a situation where you have 2 or more values in conflict. In situations like this, you might struggle to make a decision because you don't know what is right. When you are faced with this type of conflict, it may feel like there is no winner. That will often be your internal signal letting you know that something important to you is in conflict with something else that is equally important. Those are your competing values. Do you remember Elsie and Mrs. Hewlett? A dilemma for Elsie might have been whether or not she took a bottle of alcohol away from Mrs. Hewlett. What might be those values in conflict? The belief that everyone has the right to make decisions about their quality of life versus professional integrity. In the healthcare profession, doctors may give explicit orders for patient care. After viewing this vignette, we identified the many values and rules of conduct that were in conflict, and then discussed how those values may guide her actions in this situation. For some people, it may not be an ethical dilemma at all. They have a clear view about what they think is right. I recently had a situation where I was delayed in traffic and was going to be late for a meeting. I believe people's time is valuable and that it's important to always be on time or early for appointments. My only choice would be to speed to arrive at my destination. Or was that my only choice? Was this an ethical dilemma? Always arrive on time versus follow traffic laws. Because there is an existing law about speeding, I am guided by the rules to follow the speed limit, and although it may be tempting, for me this is not a dilemma. By speeding, I could put my life and the lives of others in danger. I'll have to notify someone that I'll be late. Our beliefs and values are demonstrated through our personal ethics or actions and rules of conduct. There are also collective ethics, the beliefs and values that a society has identified to be true and important, such as valuing human life and creating those traffic laws. These ethics may change over time as individuals influence the beliefs and values of a society. Many of you will be able to recognize how some of those collective ethics are present in our world today. The most common examples shared during the workshop were recycling programs, seatbelt laws, mandatory use of bike helmets, and smoking in public places. Professional ethics are also built on a collective belief and set of values. They represent standards or principles or rules of conduct established by a professional body and are often recorded as a code of ethics. You had the opportunity to share why you thought professional ethics are important in early childhood. As ECEs, we work with one of the most vulnerable groups in society, young children. Our daily interactions have a significant impact on the lives of these children, and the potential to do harm calls for a commitment to the highest standards of ethical behavior. As early childhood educators, we have and we accept the ethical obligation to understand and work effectively with all children, to support parents in their role as primary caregivers, to work with professionals in the community to best serve the needs of the children and their families, and to work cooperatively and in partnership with our colleagues. In Canada, we have our own professional code of ethics for early childhood educators. Based on the work of the Early Childhood Educators of BC, in 1998, the membership of the Manitoba Child Care Association ratified our Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics is a statement of values and described standards of behavior that guide all child care practitioners in making decisions when doing the right thing can be very complex. The Code of Ethics sets the groundwork for quality, informed, and effective decision making. There are some benefits to having a code. The code guides our decision making and gives us a sense of power when we are feeling pressures and anxieties related to difficult decisions that need to be made. The code does not tell us what to do. It gives us a framework that guides how to think about and value the principles. The code helps us to understand that we are all committed to the same ideals. During the Part 2 workshop, you will remember the Code of Ethics Carousel, where you were able to brainstorm how you demonstrate living the principles in your daily work with children, families, and colleagues. We even gave you the chance to reflect on those times when you weren't being your best self and the principles were not evident in your actions. If I came to observe you working with children, what would I see? How are you promoting the health and well-being of all children? It's common to see drinking water available at all times, both inside and outside. What are examples of developmentally appropriate practices? Maybe there is a variety of scissors available to children, as well as different types of paper to promote tearing and cutting skills of all children, regardless of age and developmental ability. Perhaps you allow children to take their time without being rushed during meal times and encourage self-help skills that may take some children longer to accomplish, like putting on their shoes. How do you demonstrate caring for all children? Do you greet every child by name when they arrive? Maybe you spend one-on-one time with every child each day, taking particular attention to special interests of children. Some days you may even bring in those special objects related to conversations or interactions from the day before. Would a parent recognize how you are working in partnership with them, and do they feel supported? Perhaps you've created a parent resource area and provide educational resources, such as snack suggestions or recommendations for books and play materials that they can make at home. How do you work in partnership with colleagues, both in and outside of your program? Some of you may be part of a networking group with colleagues from other programs. Do you share learning materials or bring in items for play invitations that your coworkers are creating? Do you always work to enhance human dignity? Have you created a diverse environment and included artifacts and practices that represent all families and their cultural backgrounds? Are you creating an opportunity for all children to experience and learn about each other? With changing trends and the ease to find information, are you regularly investigating new knowledge and strategies to support your work? Do you take advantage of workshops and incorporate newly learned skills or strategies in your programs? Do you regularly read MCCA's Bridges to support your colleagues and keep up to date what is happening across the province? Do you demonstrate integrity? Do you show up on time and ready to work each day? Do you follow and enforce program policies? And if you disagree with any of them, do you find a respectful way to share your ideas to make positive changes? Do you understand and follow the Code of Ethics? Our focus in part 2 was mindful practice. We need to start by being aware of what we are doing and how it may be affecting others. What are the values that are guiding our actions? The challenge in ethics is how do we make the decision that results in the best choice versus the one and only answer? MCCA's Code of Ethics provides you with guidance and support as you grapple with these kinds of tough and tender decisions you are called upon to make. But how can we be sure that we are making the best choice in our professional work with children and families if we don't recognize an ethical dilemma for what it is? Remember, if you are an experienced ECE, you may not see a situation the same way someone new to the field sees it. For them, they may be struggling with a dilemma. That might be an ethical dilemma for me, may not be for you. We can understand how personal beliefs, values, and ethics are related and influence how we think, feel, and act. We can better understand how ethics can influence our practice with children. We can also begin to understand how conflicts can arise when personal and professional beliefs, values, and ethics don't match, or even when two different principles of our code seem to collide, creating an ethical dilemma. The best choice then means taking the time to consider different points of view and that you commit to making decisions, that you are aware of how your personal and professional values guide every action you take, and that you make a commitment to ethical decision making. Thank you for spending the time reviewing session 2 of the Best Choices Ethical Journey. The Ethics Committee works diligently to create interesting and engaging workshops to help you as you continue on your ethical journey. I encourage you to register for an ethics workshop, borrow the ethics tab from MCCA and have some fun with your colleagues, playing games that explore values and beliefs. Have you read an interesting article written by an ethics guide? Initiate a discussion during a staff meeting, or view one of the online vignettes and lead a discussion. This is your personal journey, and we thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.